Hi everyone, welcome you all for this webinar on accelerating support to Microsoft Azure Serverless Resources. I'm Nishan Prabhakaran, product consultant of Serverless 360, and today here with me I'm having Hilal Chalian. So I would request Hilal to give an intro and start the presentation.
Hi everybody, thanks for joining us on this webinar. Thanks Nishant for the intro, and I'm Irlarasi. So together we are going to take you forward in this session. We are the product consultants of Serverless 360. Serverless 360 is a support platform engineered for your Microsoft Azure applications. And why are we the right people to talk about accelerating your support to Microsoft Azure Serverless resources? As a part of our day-to-day routine, we interact with customers across the world who play key roles in enterprises in designing and building enterprise standard business applications in Microsoft Azure. So as we went through this journey, here are some of the findings or statistics that we would like to share with you and start off this session with. So how does organizations evaluate Microsoft Azure? So has your organization evaluated Microsoft Azure? Are you curious in understanding how the trend has been across the world? So it has been an average of 61% rise in the total number of organizations who evaluated Azure to host their applications in the public cloud. And North America, which is considered to be pretty mature in IT and in industry domains, we have a trend of 82% of them already evaluated Microsoft Azure. So when you look at the statistics across the industries, financial services lead migrating their applications to cloud, and manufacturing and automotive industries come at the end with a 24% of rise. So all this also let us know that cloud strategy of enterprises include Azure as their important part. So we ran an study across various organizations, various domains to find that Azure has been a critical component in their cloud strategy. So having said this, today or tomorrow, a number of organizations that adopt to cloud and number of organizations that is going to choose Azure as their cloud provider is going to increase. Having said this, is there any challenges that organizations encounter as they proceed towards this cloud adoption? Yes. So here is a finding of some significant challenges that enterprises or even small organizations or small startups who start off with their Azure or cloud footprint encounter as challenges. So security being a major concern, the cloud providers are paying enough attention into this sector. So I have to mention Azure has an Azure Security Center, which helps you make your application compliant to security standards. And all that is required is adhere to the Azure Security Center's alerts and reports. So having said this, in this space, here are some of the challenges that we as an Serverless 360 provider can address. So Serverless 360 has got complete tool set that can help you overcome around 50% of these challenges, rest of them being supported even by the cloud service provided Microsoft Azure. So our focus on this session is going to be those 4 highlighted segments of these key challenges. Let us pay attention to them. Like as I get my application into the cloud, one of my key reasons would be to spend less and get more speed and faster turnaround time to the market. So in that case, I also encounter challenges like cannot manage my cloud spending as I expected. So I create certain resources, though they are not being utilized at this point in time, they stay in my subscription and consume my Azure spending. How do I deal with this? I have Azure resources. who are really critical, and they are they are highly skilled Azure resources, but I cannot afford to use them for low valued support tasks. But because of this, I find that the total cost of ownership on my business applications are increasing. I am using my high valued skilled Azure resources on low valued support tasks. How do I safely move my support into the L1 support team? How do I safely ensure that the product support is rendered by people in my support team who do not have adequate knowledge on Azure, but still I have to enable them? That's my need here. When I bestow these support activities to my support team, how do I govern and audit their actions on my Azure resources? And how actually I can manage multiple clouds or multiple Azure subscriptions all at one place? So these are few challenges that we repeatedly hear from our customers across various domains. So we have customers in the communication space, retail, logistics, e-commerce, but these are certain comments that we often hear from them across various domains. And in this webinar, we are going to bring you some scenarios from our customer ends and help you understand how Serverless 360 can help you accelerate support to these Microsoft Azure Serverless resources safely. So the need of today's scenario to overcome these challenges would be a deep integrated tooling to carry out day in and day out operations by my support team, and comprehensive monitoring solution that will bring any failures in my business applications to the spotlight. And I want to view my resources as business applications rather than managing bunch of resources spread across subscriptions and regions with no knowledge on which business application do they participate in. I want a very clear visibility of which resource is participating in which business application and what is its status at this point in time, and complete end-to-end tracking of where did the message go. So the business often gets struck with a billion-dollar question of what happened to the business transaction? Where exactly did my message get struck? So these are some questions that we are going to find solutions for in this webinar using Serverless 360. So I call upon Nishant now to take you forward with our business scenarios, and we will try to emphasize on the business value adds that Serverless 360 can bring into your business.
So, yes, everyone. Thank you so much, Lil, for a brief introduction. So before starting off with the scenarios, we would like to understand the needs of your organization support people. So we are opening the poll now. So kindly answer, the poll with the required items. So let me open up the poll now.
So what do you think would be the need of your support team in your organization to deal with Azure Serverless integrations? Do you think it's hard for me to carry out day in and day out operations, like processing the dead letters or resubmitting failures or monitoring my resources? At application level of management, I need to see my business application, which I lack in the Azure portal. Is that your challenge? Or do you want an end-to-end tracking? Say a message flows through a logic app, then a function app, then an on-premise application, then through an API. I need to have an holistic view of how exactly did my message go through and where did it get struck. So these are the 4 options, and it would be great to understand your challenges so that we can drive the webinar as well our product roadmap accordingly. So we can see almost 50% of the participants submitting your response. Yes, the percentage of voting increases. Request other attendees also to post your response. Happy to see that our learnings are in line with responses from the attendees. So almost 70% of the attendees have already submitted their response. We'll have another few more seconds, Nishant, before we close the poll.
Yeah.
Yes, Nishant, I believe we are getting almost 100% of the response. I think we can go ahead.
Yeah, so now let me close the poll. And let me continue with the presentation today. Thank you so much, everyone, for giving your valuable inputs. So now let me start off with an real-time scenario. So this was a retail customer. They had order processing scenario. So in this scenario, they are having different Azure resources in place to handle the orders coming from their e-commerce website. So let me explain you how this scenario works and like what are all the challenges that each and every support person face with these scenarios. So initially, I'm having a web application, which is an e-commerce web application. So from this web application, customers will be ordering their products. So those product information will be compiled into a message and pushed into a service bus queue. So there will be a logic app, which will be actively listening to my service bus queue, and it will validate those messages using function app. So the function app will do all kind of validation, like whether like the user ID is always already there and the product stock is available. So it will perform all these kind of validation and give us the input. So based on the input, logic app will push the message to the topic, and then further operations will be happening. So in this scenario, we are having different needs for a support person. So let me list out the needs here. When you are dealing with Azure Service Bus topics, we would need to filter the messages to the subscription based on the filtering. So that is a huge challenge, and that is also a need for a support person. And whenever I'm dealing with large amount of failed logic app runs, I would also want to understand what are all the failed logic app runs, and I only want to focus on the latest logic app runs which was not resubmitted. So in the day-to-day activities, I would also need some tagging should be automatically associated whenever I process my logic app runs. And in the unusual scenarios, I would also want to perform some bulk operations like processing huge amount of messages to my backup system to handle the unusual scenarios. So let me right away jump into the portal and show you in action how these challenges and needs can be very easily rectified with Serverless 360. So here, right now, I'm in Serverless 360 portal. So let me go to the order processing composite application. So this application will have different resources like logic apps, queues, and topics that we saw in the scenario. Let me start off with the logic apps. So this logic apps will validate the user's information and send it for further processing. So as a support person, my focus will be only on the failed logic app runs. And I want to know what was the failure and what was the validation issue happened in my function app, I would need some information to solve those problems as a support person. So with the help of action required tab, I can only focus on the failed logic app runs, and these runs will give me some information to understand what was the problem with my whole logic app transaction and what was the validation failure as well. So with this kind of understanding, I can do the necessary changes in the back end of my system, and I can even reprocess all these runs at a single click with the help of resubmission in Serverless 360. So we also offers you the favorite tabs, which will like make support person to store their favorite runs for the frequent usage. So this kind of day-to-day operational capabilities are also available. And whenever I'm reprocessing all these transactions, I would also want to understand what is the correlation between my parent run and the failed run. So if I want to get some information from the parent run, so what was the employee ID before and why did the latest run have also been failed? If I want to investigate them, so with the retreat chain, we can easily understand what is the parent run, and we can traverse through it to get more information on that. And not only in the logic app. If you're using service bus, we will be having large amount of messages being stagnated. So we want to deal we want to know why these messages has been deleted, and we also want to reprocess all these messages to our backup system. So if you see this incoming order service bus, I'm having some amount of deleted messages. So I want to reprocess them all. I can right away get into my service bus. I can retrieve some amount of message, and here I can understand what was the actual problem. So in my case, it is time to live expired exception, and few of other messages have been failed due to some order cancellation, due to other resources didn't pick that up. So here I have to reprocess all these messages by providing some adequate information, like these messages are resubmitted. So let me select all my messages, and I'm going for resubmission. So here I can choose one of my backup messaging system, or I can even reprocess all these messages to the same queue or topic as well. So let me choose one, and I can proceed to reprocess all the message back to my backup system. So here it is very, very easy for me as a support person. I'm having very wide process all this, no complicated systems for me to learn. So this is very easy for me when I'm having 10 messages. Consider we are having a big billion day where there will be a huge amount of orders piling up. So at that case, manual operation will not help us anymore. So here comes the automated tasks in Serverless 360. So with the help of automated tasks, we can reprocess huge amount of messages based on the deleted reason. So in our case, we had the time to live expired exception. So I want to filter based on my actual deleted reason, and I can even schedule this automated task to run at the midnight. Like whenever there is a problem, it will automatically trigger and do some kind of reprocessing or purging for our need. And not only for service bus, this automated task is also available for other resources like event hubs. And if you want to purge all your unwanted storage blobs, you can do them with automated tasks. And you can even reprocess multiple logic app runs using the logic app automated tasks.
Yes. So in this demo, we just visualized how easy it would be for a support person to scale up and start utilizing Serverless 360 to reprocess your failures or dead letters in the business application, if not Serverless 360. So can you expect a support person to consume an external API, exposed API from Azure? So it requires a considerable amount of time and effort from a skilled Azure resource to set up and support system. Whereas with introduction of Serverless 360, this effort can be considerably reduced. And with the utilization of automated tasks, number of our customers could indeed accelerate their support to the real-time business needs. So with proper classification of dead letter messages in the service bus queues and configuration of automated tasks, they could achieve an beyond expected efficiency while dealing with dead letters in the service bus messages. So going ahead with scenario 2, over to you, Nishant.
Thank you, Lil. So here I'm having one another scenario from one of our largest shipping company. So this is a kind of vehicle telematic scenario. So where we will be having different types of events coming from the vehicles moving around. And all these events will be processed using one of my on-premise solution, and it will be stored in one of my Azure SQL database. So in this huge system, I would want to understand how the events are flowing, start from the event hubs and stored to the SQL databases, and how the processings are happening. So I want to have a better visibility, and wherever the problems occurring, I should get some quick alert report. As a support person, I need to solve them quickly. So here, as a support person, we would be having certain needs. Like I would need consolidated report, and I also want to have third-party integrations to raise a support ticket to the concerned person. And I also need a real-time status of how my application is performing. So let me again get back to the portal and show you how we can manage this vehicle telematics using Serverless 360. So here I'm having one another composite application called staging vehicle management. So in this system, I can understand like what are all the resources that I'm dealing with. And as a first step, I can see what are all the resources that are in the failed state and what are all the resources that are in the healthy state. So if I want to dig deeper, I can right away click on it and see what was the actual problem. So here I can understand the block count is keep on increasing, which denotes the dead letter count is keep on increasing in my Azure Event Grid subscription. So going ahead with the monitors in Serverless 360, it offers 4 different types of monitors for different stakeholders. So if I take the threshold monitor, so this threshold monitor is for instant alert report, and this also offers you uh, uh, like some in-depth kind of monitoring. If I get into one of my event hub here, I can easily configure like what are all the things that I want to monitor, like status and the partitions. So Serverless 360 is the only monitor that offers partition and topic subscription level of monitors. So from this, I can even understand what's happening in my partitions as well. Apart from this, I'm having the status monitor as well. So that status monitor will be appropriate for DevOps engineers or managers. So they would need alert report at the defined frequency. So I can configure at what time I really need the alert report, and I can configure the properties here that I want to. So in our case, it can be the status, and as we saw, you can even monitor the partitions. And if you are going for logs, you can even monitor the release date. So all these kind of basic properties of Azure services can be monitored. So the next monitor we are having is Swatch Monitor. So consider we are having, in our scenario, we are having Azure SQL databases, which will be storing the vehicle information and driver information and all those things. So I want to monitor how many driver details were there. So using Watch Monitor, I can put up a query there, and I can even monitor when the driver count goes beyond certain limit on a certain location. So here I can understand my expected value is 60, but the driver count is keep on increasing, which is more than 60 here. So this kind of query level monitoring is also available in Serverless 360. And the final monitor we have is the data monitor. So this is a kind of in-depth monitoring. So here you can monitor the incoming messages against outgoing messages. So this will help a support person to understand at what rate the messages are going out. And if there are any server errors or user errors or quota exceeded errors, support person can even quickly understand and solve the issue before it's going to happen. So this kind of performance level monitoring is also available. So in our case, we are also dealing with event grid topics and subscriptions as well. So they will be dealing with the real-time events, and we also want to monitor whenever there are dead letter events piling up. So with the help of dead letter events metric, I can have an eye on the dead letter events. So when it goes beyond certain limit, I will right away get notified, and I can easily solve the issue before it's going to happen. So this kind of various monitoring solution available in Serverless 360. And if you are having different teams in your organization, you would also want to set up different types of notification channels as well. So Serverless 360 offers 7 different types of notification channels through which you can raise a support ticket to your support team using ServiceNow and PagerDuty, and you can even intimate your DevOps team using Teams, Slack, and other solutions. So this kind of variety of options available in Serverless 360.
So yes, that was a wonderful demo, Nishant, and comprehensive monitoring on various components of my business solution. So how useful this would be. Comparing it against Azure portal offered monitoring solutions, wherein I have restrictions like an alert role can work only on a couple of metrics of a specific resource. I would end up with a number of reports without getting an idea of how exactly my business application is working on. However, here I have a comprehensive view. In case of an issue with any of my resource that gets highlighted in my service map, and my support team can be proactive in discovering these alerts and reacting to them rather than waiting for the customer to raise a ticket. So that is where Serverless 360 can add value to your business. You can be proactive rather than being reactive.
Yeah, that's a great value additions. And now moving ahead, let me take up one another scenario, which is a cab booking application scenario. And this scenario will have will have different systems like booking management and driver onboard management and vehicle telematics. So this each and every system will have its own environments like dev, staging, and production. So it is very complex for a support person to traverse across all these environments in Azure portal. Whereas here in Serverless 360, we will give you a kind of comprehensive view. So now let us see what are other kind of needs for support person regarding this kind of scenarios. So as a support person, we would obviously need application level of grouping, and we would also need a traffic like system. Uh, like we can even want to monitor the health status, and we want a kind of visual representation of how our application is connected. And we also want some granular level of user management to completely organize all these application and provide access to appropriate users. So now again, let me get back to the portal and show you how we can efficiently manage this much of application using Serverless 360. So we have a customer who is the largest electric company in America. So they are having a lot of integrations, and they would need some efficient solution to completely organize all these integrations and want to have a status of all these applications. So using composite applications in Serverless 360, they were very easily able to organize their scenario, like how I have did for this cab booking application scenario here. And we can even visualize how the health status of each and every application, whether they are in a healthy state or they are in an error state. So all these will be in real time. And as a support person, we can see where is the problem, and we can quickly react to it. And when you're dealing with multiple users, we would also want some efficient user management capabilities. So here in Serverless 360, we can create a custom role and add all your Active Directory users appropriately into appropriate roles. So if I open up one of the role, I can understand how the access has been provided. So we can provide access in each and every composite application level. So if it is going to be quality assurance people, we can only give access to the staging environment. So if we want to restrict access in management level or in read-only level, we can restrict them. And it also offers access restriction in various capabilities of Serverless 360. So now, as a support person, I would need one more like capability. Like if I get into one of my composite application, I would want to understand how each and every resources have been connected in real time. Using service map, I can really do it. So here I'm having a web application, like which will be posting the messages, and for the logic app will be processing, and there will be a huge integration going on. So with this visual representation, I can understand where is the actual problem, and if there are any disconnection happened, and if I want to look into any of the failures, I can right away click on any of them, and I can see what was the actual problem in my whole application. So this kind of application level of visibility is also available in Serverless 360, and it also provides you option to create multiple service maps. So you can even create all your child integrations inside a single composite application. And not only service map, Serverless 360 also offers you a better analytics capability. So from a single place, I can understand how our application is performing. So if you see this particular page, we can understand how many dead letter messages were there and how many run failures have happened. I have also created key performance indicator for one of my logic apps. So this is giving me at what rate, at what time this particular metrics is are peaking up. So this kind of analytics that I can perform with dashboard, and it also offers you variety of widgets to perform better analysis of your application.
So yes, indeed, a number of enterprises who are our customers have acknowledged composite application to give them an holistic view of their whole application infrastructure built by putting together a number of microservices. So the composite application along with service map and the dashboards will indeed give you an application level of visibility on the business application built in Microsoft Azure.
That's great. So now let me move to our final system, final scenario here. So here I have taken up a HR employment system. So in this scenario, again, I will be having a web application where user will be registering as a new employee, and further logic apps and function app will be doing some processing, validations, and will be providing access to the new employee. So if there are any problem, it will also intimate to one of the HR people. So in this scenario, as a support person, we would want to understand the end-to-end tracking of our whole application. So we want to know where the actual message is, and if any of the stage which has been failed, I want to understand what was the problem with that stage, and I even want to reprocess the whole transaction again whenever I rectify the problem. So here the need for a support person would be end-to-end tracking, and we would also want some support for integration services, and we would also want some single place to have a holistic view of our application. So now let me straight away jump into the portal and show you how we can perform end-to-end tracking in Serverless 360. So here we have a separate tab called Business Process. So once I click on the business process, I will be landed up into the tracking page. So here in the tracking page, I can very easily understand all my transactions. So this will have all my transaction list. So in the real time, I can understand the failures of my transaction and how many transaction has been succeeded. And like with the help of this action required tab, we can even understand like what are all the transaction which has been failed. And if I want to query out specific like user, I can right away put the query, which is very easy for a support person. So here I can just type like employee name equals, and I can put the name. So this will bring me all the necessary transaction that I really need to consider. So I can understand all these transactions have been failed. So I have to assign one of these transactions to my support person to quickly look into it. So here I can go for assigned reprocessing. So I can choose the support person to whom I really want to assign this. So here I'm choosing illiteracy, and I can provide some information for illiteracy to give support to the appropriate customers. So here, once I assign this transaction, whenever LLRS is signed up to the portal, she will be having the transaction being listed out here. So she can anytime get to the transaction and get some information on where the actual problem happened. So if she right away click on the stage, she will get all the appropriate information to debug the information. So with the help of archiving message, we can even archive the content. And if I want to get more information from the message body, we can even get right away in the serverless resource. So this business activity monitoring is not only for end-to-end tracking. Say like if I want to get notified before the issue is going to happen. So for this case, I will need better monitoring as well. So here comes the query monitoring in Serverless 360. So with the help of query monitoring, we can use the saved query to monitor our transaction. Say like if I want to monitor the transaction that happened to the location Coimbatore or New York, I can define the query right away, and I can define the warning error threshold at which I really need alert report. And if this is not going to be the case, if I would need alert report whenever there is a problem, I can even go for exception monitor. So in this exception monitor, I can choose at what business process I will need an alert report, and I can define the limits to prevent the spamming of the emails. So this kind of monitoring solution is also available. And finally, as a support person, I want to have a holistic view of my business process in the different properties. Like if I want to understand the failed transaction by location wise, and if I want to understand the transaction happened in department wise. So from this, I can see 19 employees have been registered in the development department. So I can have a holistic view of how my transaction is performing based on the properties being tracked.
So this business activity monitoring solution in Serverless 360 is something what we were sensing as an expectation from any customers that we were interacting with. And that is why we have put adequate effort into this segment and come up with an end-to-end tracking solution. So now BAM has started proving that it solves the business need of figuring out where did the message get struck or what happened to my transaction. Where exactly did it fail? What is the reason behind the failure? It has started answering these billion-dollar questions raised by business day in and day out. And with exception monitoring and the custom property tracking, you can indeed track anything and everything that is flowing through your business, and you can get a clear visibility on the message flowing through various components in your business application.
So now I would also request you to have a look at our previous webinars, like taken by one of our MVP, Michael Stevenson. So in that webinar, we have spoken about more about business activity monitoring and how we can support different integrations using PAM and perform end-to-end tracking on them. So if you are interested, please kindly have a look. So from this, slide on, like we have come to an end of this webinar. And before moving to further things, so we would recommend you to give us like a few of your suggestions on like what would you think would accelerate your support person to Microsoft Azure. So we would like to hear from you. We have opened the poll right now, so we would expect your answers on that.
Yeah. So on whatever we discussed till now, what do you think would coincide with your need of your support team in accelerating your support for Azure Serverless applications? Yes, good to see attendees actively responding to the poll. Yes, so enhanced monitoring is undoubtedly the one of the most voted requirement. Is of course when I have an problem with my application, I should first detect it. Only then I can act to it. And when that detection is enabled with a very clear application visibility, I can be sure about which business application is getting impacted. And all these being at the static level, when the business is happening, when the message is flowing through them, the end-to-end tracking of application becomes critical. Yeah, and of course, the better cost utilization visualization is important. So this has been the ranking by our participants. Almost all of them have responded. Enhanced monitoring, end-to-end tracking, clear application visibility, and a better cost visualization. In this order is what you, the attendees, have acknowledged to be the components to improve or accelerate your support to Microsoft Azure. Thanks for your responses. It means a lot for us to plan our roadmap and put in our effort to the right direction.
And it is really good to see all the customers' needs are met by Serverless 360. So,
yeah. So I would close the poll now, Nishant, and we'll proceed further.
sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Arul. Yes, team. Yes, everyone. Like we are in the conclusion of this webinar. So if you want to know more about Serverless 360 and if you want to know more about serverless technologies and how we can efficiently manage and monitor all these serverless technologies, so we would request you to have a look at our blogs and our white papers and ebooks. So we have recently started to post and YouTube videos. So we would also request you to have a look at it. So this will give you a huge content related to Azure Serverless services. So
yes, to add on to what Nishant said, if you are looking for authentic content in the Azure space to scale up, sharpen your skills in Microsoft Azure, then you have the right resources right in front of you.
yeah. And adding to that, like we also conduct community-related events. So in that, our global event called Integrate 2020, so which happened in 2020 June. So if you want to know more about latest technologies happening in the Microsoft space, so you can have a look at those sessions in Integrate 2020. So it will be a good learning, we would assure. And apart from Integrate event, like we would also have we would also have other community initiatives like serverless nodes and integration playbook and integration Monday. So the integration Monday, we will be conducting a weekly events. So that will speak about the latest technologies happening in the integration space. So kindly have a look at it. So
Yes.
now we value your feedback. Yeah.
Yes, Nishant. And I also would like to inform you about Integrate 2021, which is planned in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd of June. The registrations are already open, and you can be a participant and acquire the right knowledge from the product team of Microsoft and eminent Microsoft MVPs across the globe. That would be the wonderful platform for you to get first-hand information on Microsoft Azure technologies. And as Nishant said, it's time for your feedback or questions. We are open for your questions and feedback, please.
Yeah, so you can post your questions in the questions section in the left.
Yeah, here is a question from Indrajit Kumar. Are you sharing the slide? Yes, we would share the slide, Indrajit, after the session to the participants. So Indrajit has another question. How serverless is different than deploying on server? So Nishant, I would take this question.
Sure.
Yeah, Indrajit, so when we say serverless, when I host in serverless, I need not worry about the underlying server. The cloud service provider, say Azure, is going to take care of my scaling requirements or performance requirements, and all that I need to focus on is the core business that I need to get deployed. Say if I have an core business logic and I need that code to be executed in an Azure service, then I can choose an Azure function, write my code, and get that deployed. That is all that I need to worry about, and that's why serverless services are so popular because I need not worry about the underlying complexities, and I just pay only for what I consume. The number of executions my functions encounter is all that I pay for. How does serverless protect production service bus connection strings from support user? So I understand this question is how does serverless 360 protect production service bus connection strings from support users? That's a wonderful question. Thanks for raising it, Acradius. So serverless 360 will allow you to associate your service principal, which has got contributor access on your service bus namespace. So once you associate your service principal, only the administrator will have access to this association. Even to them, the client secret will not be visible. Your service principal credentials will be saved in the customer specific in a fully encrypted. So your support users can be provided with an appropriate in which they can perform only operations on the service bus or only message processing on the service bus, which is feasible through the granular user access policy management that we have got. So you need not associate your connection string. It can be securely dealt with the help of service principals. Hope that answers your question, Acradius. Difference. Yeah, thanks for the confirmation, Acradius. Yeah, here we have another question. Difference between SAP CPI and Serverless 360. Kamalesh, as I'm not very much familiar, I cannot comment on that, but what I can tell you is Serverless 360 is a complete platform created for the operations and support team to deal only with Microsoft Azure Serverless Services. So the scope of Serverless 360 is only Microsoft Azure Serverless Services. Yeah, do you have sample codes for Serverless 360 for different customer types? Acradius, I would forward your request to our sales team, and I will ask a dedicated sales person to connect with you. this I can tell you the factors that would influence how much a customer would pay for a month. So there are three parameters that would decide the pricing. Nishant, if you can bring up the portal and then show the consumption screen, that would help Acredis to follow.
Yeah.
So the cost is completely based on the number of resources. That is, a resource can be a service bus queue or a topic or a logic app or a function app. So we do not restrict on the type of the resource, but it is a total number of resources. So with the base package, you would be provided with a number of resources limit and automated task transaction. So in the webinar, Nishant was talking about automatically processing the dead lettered messages without any manual intervention. So every message that is getting processed is counted as a transaction. So that would be the second parameter. And if you choose to go ahead with BAM, which is an optional component, you would have the third entity also as an influencer in the pricing, that is BAM events. So business activity monitoring, which we were talking as end-to-end tracking, needs instrumentation to be done in your business application to track the message that is flowing through. So every event that is fired to a BAM API will be counted as an event. So these are the three parameters that would influence your pricing. For every package, you would be entitled for a limit on all these three components. So we can take this discussion further by an one-to-one discussion with the sales team who can give you a customized pricing. Hope that answers your question, Acredis.
We still have a few more minutes, so if you have any questions, feel free to post that in the question panel.
So yeah, Acredis has another question. How do you create a service map? So as of now, you will have to create it by putting together resources that are listed in a composite application. So once you associate resources from your subscription in your composite application, when you get into your service map, you will be listed with all the resources that are part of this business application. You can click on them as Nishant shows you. You can get them on the board and connect them with the right component to enable your support team rightly understand how does the components work together. So, and the status of these resources will get reflected automatically based on the monitors that you have configured for them. So as you see here, there are a couple of monitors, health check monitor and performance detection monitor that has been configured for this booking processor entity. So based on the monitor's configuration, the total billable executions has been beyond expected limit. Hence, the status of the resources highlighted as red. Yeah, so Ashok PS has got a question. Hi, through enhanced monitoring by Serverless 360, is the scalability of required resources is achievable dynamically? So detecting any slippage in the expected scalability is detectable, Ashok. whereas auto upgrading the resource is still not within the scope of Serverless 360, but this is under consideration. As of now, you can detect if your resource is not performing as expected. We have plans to bring in integration of PowerShell runbooks. So as Ashok has mentioned here, when a monitor detects an alert, you can trigger an PowerShell runbook to take care of necessary corrective action. So this is under evaluation to be a part of Serverless 360. Yes, you're welcome, Ashok. We are really happy to see real good questions being raised by participants. What information can you put on a dashboard? Can you drill down from the dashboard? Yeah, so you can create dashboards on the metrics of the resources. So we have two dashboards here. One is at the composite application level and another is at the BAM, business activity monitoring dashboard. The composite application level dashboard is based on the metrics of the resources. And the BAM dashboard can be built based on the tracked information. So this is based on the information that has been tracked as a part of business activity monitoring. If I want to get an understanding of how is my business performing at a specific location, out of the tracked information, anything can be plotted as an dashboard, configurable. Whatever would be ideal for the business to know can be put in here as a widget. So it could be a count chart, a time chart, or a bar chart. You can choose appropriate representation and get that plotted here. So Ganesh has got another question. Can we add message and service bus queue more than 256 KB in Serverless 360? Azure Service Bus will not accept. So Ganesh, I would like to emphasize here, you are managing and monitoring the service bus queue created in your Microsoft Azure. So anything that is not acceptable by Microsoft Azure cannot be achieved through Serverless 360. So ultimately, the message would end up into the same service bus queue in your Azure portal, right? So what we offer in extra from the Azure portal is you can view the message, you can interpret it, repair and resubmit it, or reprocess it. All that is what is enhancements that is provided by Serverless 360 on the underlying Microsoft's Azure Serverless. Where is the tracking data stored and how long is it stored? With respect to business activity monitoring, it is stored in the customer's infrastructure. That is, when you opt to choose using the business activity monitoring, you would be asked to associate your storage account to store the actual message that is being tracked and a database to save your business transaction details. So how long it gets stored is configurable again, and it is in your infrastructure there, so it is completely in the control of the customer. So security of this information on transit is being taken care of by the application. With respect to the rest of the application activities about the storage, it is say the configuration of monitors or composite applications, associated service principals. All these will be saved in the SaaS version of Serverless 360 in an SQL database in our infrastructure, which is dedicated to each customer. It's an elastic pool dedicated to each customer. So that's a wonderful interactive webinar today. Thank you so much for all your active participation and real intuitive questions. Thank you, Acredius.
Thank you.
All those who raised very good questions today. Thank you so much. So Nishant, are we good to close the webinar now?
Yes, yeah. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining this webinar. And as Ellen mentioned, it was really a great interactive webinar. So thank you so much for participating. So yeah, we'll meet you all in the next webinar. Thank you.
Covey.co